Intro: The Dawn of a New Decade. The year is 1960. America stands on the precipice of a new era. Elvis has just returned from the Army. JFK is preparing for his presidential run, and humanity is obsessed with one singular idea: space. We are looking up at the stars, dreaming of rockets, and this desire to leave the ground permeates everything, from the architecture of roadside diners to the toasters in our kitchens. But nowhere was this era imprinted more heavily than in the metal cruising down the American highways. Back then, a car wasn't just transportation. It was a statement. It was a status symbol. It was a demonstration of technological dominance. And sitting at the very top of that food chain, within the hierarchy of General Motors, was this machine. Not just a Buick, but the Buick Electra 225. On the streets they called it the Deuce and a Quarter. That nickname sounds like the caliber of a weapon, and, in a way, it is. It is a weapon of mass seduction. Today, we are going to take this phenomenon apart. We'll look under its endless hood, find out why its speedometer works via a mirror, and understand why, even 60 years later, this convertible offers a ride quality that modern luxury cars still struggle to match. Welcome to 1960. Let's go for a ride. Chapter 1. Design: Between the Shark and the Rocket. Look at this bodywork. To understand the design of 1960, you have to look back at 1959. That year was the peak of madness. Massive razor-sharp fins on Cadillacs and Buicks that threatened to puncture the clouds. But 1960 brought a paradigm shift. GM designers, led by the legendary Bill Mitchell, decided to calm the storm just a little. The 1960 Buick Electra looks as if it was sculpted by the wind itself. The fins haven't disappeared, but they have evolved. Look at the rear. They no longer point aggressively upward like a shark. Instead, they are flattened, angled horizontally, resembling the delta wings of a supersonic fighter jet. The car looks wider, lower, and faster, even when it's standing dead still. The front end is its own masterpiece. It features a concave grille, scooped inward to create the effect of a jet engine intake. And the headlights? Quad headlights bridged by chrome strips create a focused, serious expression. If the 59 model looked angry, the 60 model looks aristocratic. And of course, the venti ports, those famous ventilation holes on the fenders, a Buick trademark since the late 40s. Count them. There are 4. This is a crucial marker. 3 ports meant you were driving a LeSabre or an Invicta, the entry-level models. But 4 ports? 4 ports scream to the world, this is an Electra, this is the Summit, this is old money. Chapter 2. The Magic Number. 225. Why 225? In the modern auto industry, numbers in a name are often just marketing gibberish. But in 1960, engineers were honest. 225 is the overall length of the car in inches. Let's translate that into perspective. 225 inches is 5.71 meters. Imagine a standard garage from that era. This car barely fit inside. If you park this next to a modern Toyota Land Cruiser or a Cadillac Escalade, this vintage convertible is actually longer than those massive SUVs by nearly 2.5 feet. The width? Over 80 inches. This is a true land yacht. As you walk from the trunk to the hood, you feel like you should have packed a lunch for the journey. Yet, despite this gigantism, the proportions are perfect. The long rear overhang balances the massive hood, and that chrome molding running along the rocker panel visually glues the car to the road, making the silhouette impossibly sleek. Chapter 3. The Heart of the Titan, the Nailhead V8. Let's pop the hood. It opens alligator style, revealing a legend of American engineering. You are looking at a massive V8 engine, painted in turquoise. This is the famous Buick Nailhead V8. Why Nailhead? It comes down to the valves. Buick engineers arranged the valves vertically, which allowed for a very compact combustion chamber, but it forced the valves themselves to be small, with long stems. To mechanics, they looked like nails, hence the nickname. But don't let the small valves fool you. This engine is a torque monster. Displacement is 401 cubic inches. That's 6.6 liters. Take a look at the huge decal on the air cleaner housing. Wildcat 445. Novices often make a mistake here, thinking 445 represents horsepower. Oh no. In those days, Buick bragged about pulling power. 445 is the torque rating in pound-feet. If we convert that to Newton meters, we get a monstrous 600 Newton meters. For comparison, that is respectable for a modern sports car. But here, we are talking about technology from over 60 years ago. The horsepower? That was rated at 325. This engine doesn't like high RPMs. It doesn't scream like a Ferrari. It grumbles. It works like a locomotive. All that power is available right from idle. You barely touch the gas pedal and 445 pound-feet of torque pick up this 5,000-pound slab of steel and carry it forward as effortlessly as a feather. Chapter 4. The Dynaflow, the transmission with no gears. The engine is only half the magic. The other half is the transmission. And this is where the Buick Electra 225 stands apart from every competitor of its time. It is equipped with the twin-turbine Dynaflow. Most automatic transmissions back then, and even today, work by shifting gears. First, second, third. You feel the jolt. You hear the engine note drop. The Dynaflow is different. Technically, it doesn't have gears in the traditional sense for normal driving. It uses a complex torque converter with two turbines to infinitely vary the torque. What does this mean for the driver? It means a sensation of continuous, unbroken power. You hit the gas and the car surges forward in one single, smooth wave. No shifts, no interruptions. It's like an electric vehicle but with the rumble of a V8. Critics called it the slush box because it was inefficient and ate up some horsepower. But Buick clients adored it. They didn't want the jerky neck snap of a race car. They wanted absolute, creamy smoothness. The Dynaflow was so smooth that passengers could hold full glasses of champagne while accelerating without spilling a drop. Chapter 5. The Braking Secret. Find aluminum drums. There is one aspect rarely praised in retro car reviews because it's usually terrible: the brakes. Stopping 2.5 tons of steel on 1960s drum brakes is usually a terrifying adventure. Brakes would overheat, fade, and simply stop working after a few hard stops, but not the Buick. Jay Leno and classic car experts agree on one thing: Buick had the best brakes in the world in 1960. Better than Cadillac, maybe even better than Mercedes at the time. The secret was in the front drums. Buick used a unique technology: aluminum-finned drums with a cast-iron liner. Why aluminum? It dissipates heat incredibly well. And those massive fins acted like fans, cooling the brakes with the rushing air. Why the iron liner? For durability. This tech came straight from aviation and racing. While owners of other cars were stuck on the side of the road waiting for their smoking brakes to cool down after a mountain descent, The Electra 225 driver kept going, oblivious to the problem. It was a level of engineering that earned Buick respect even on the racetrack. Chapter 6. Interior and Forgotten Tech. Let's step inside. The door opens with a heavy, solid click. It's not the sound of a tin can, it's the sound of a bank vault closing. Inside, we are greeted by a kingdom of leather, chrome, and vinyl. There are no bucket seats here. Up front, a single, massive bench seat. 3 adults can sit here comfortably. Seat belts? In 1960, they were an option, and hardly anyone ordered them. People believed in their own invincibility and the thickness of the steel. But look at the dashboard. It's a jewelry box. The first thing that catches your eye is the speedometer. You aren't looking at the gauge directly. This is the mirrormatic speedometer. The numbers are actually lying flat inside the dashboard, and the driver sees the reflection in an adjustable mirror. Why? First, it looks futuristic. Second, you could tilt the mirror to match your height, giving you a perfect view of your speed. It even had a buzzer you could set to a specific speed limit to warn you if you were going too fast. No cruise control yet, but the nagging buzzer was already invented. The second unique feature that baffles modern drivers is starting the car. You get in. You look for a start button. No. You look for the start position on the key. Also no. You simply turn the ignition to on and then you floor the gas pedal. There is a switch under the accelerator pedal that engages the starter. As soon as the engine catches, a vacuum switch kills the starter motor, even if your foot is still buried in the carpet. It was called gas pedal start. The idea was seamless luxury. You sit down, press the gas, which automatically sets the choke, and the machine comes alive. Chapter 7. The Convertible Life. Since this is a convertible, we have to talk about the roof. In 1960, there is no manual labor involved. Everything is hydraulic and electric. You pull a chrome switch, and a complex system of levers lifts the massive canvas dome, transforming this open-air yacht into a cozy cocoon. Speaking of comfort, the heater in this car is so powerful you could drive with the top down in late autumn. Buick knew its demographic. The owner of an Electra is a successful individual who should never experience discomfort. An interesting detail: the windows are electric, which was standard for luxury cars. But even the vent windows, those little triangular windows, were powered. That was the height of luxury. Chapter 8. The Driving Experience. Piloting a Cloud. So, what is it like to drive a Buick Electra 225 today? It is an experience that simply doesn't exist in modern cars. Modern engineering tries to give you road feel. You feel the bumps in the steering wheel. You feel the grip. The Buick Electra does the opposite. Its goal is to isolate you from reality. It uses coil springs all around, unlike Chrysler, which used torsion bars, or others with leaf springs. Combined with the torque tube drive, a rigid connection between the rear axle and transmission, the result is unique. The car doesn't roll, it floats. Americans call this the floating ride. You don't drive over a speed bump, you gently waft over it like a hovercraft. The power steering is so overboosted you can turn the wheel with your pinky finger while parked. Road feedback? Zero. You simply suggest a direction to the nose of this ship, and it changes course. In corners, the body roll is comical by modern standards. If you turn sharply, it feels like the door handle might scrape the asphalt. But this car isn't about sharp turns. It's about putting your elbow on the door sill, turning up the jazz or rock and roll, and cruising into the sunset at 50 miles per hour. It is an automotive antidepressant. You cannot be angry inside an Electra 225. People let you merge in traffic not because you are aggressive, but because the car is beautiful, and because nobody wants to argue with 2.5 tons of chrome. Chapter 9. Legacy and Conclusion. 1960 was a turning point for Buick. Sadly, by 1961, the design changed drastically again, becoming boxier and more compact. The era of fins and aerospace baroque was fading. The 1960 Electra 225 remains a unique monument in time. It was the last gasp of unbridled designer freedom before safety regulations, fuel economy, and aerodynamics began to dictate the shape of our cars. They drew a dream, and engineers forged that dream in steel. Today, finding a '60 Electra in this condition is rare and expensive. Collectors like Jay Leno value the 1960 model precisely for its balance. It's not as cartoonish as the '59, but it still holds that jet-age spirit. It is powerful, reliable, those Nailhead engines are bulletproof, and incredibly beautiful. This car reminds us of a time when the future seemed bright and amazing, when we thought our cars would soon fly. And looking at the Buick Electra 225 with its delta wings and jet intakes, it feels like it only needed a little more speed to leave the asphalt and take its rightful place among the stars. Thanks for joining us on this journey through automotive history. Drive safe and keep the history alive.